Good morning, afternoon, or evening. My name is Shannon, and today we are going to be picking my April TBR using the TBR jar glass, whatever you want to call it. Again, I really enjoyed doing this last month, despite the fact that I haven't really read a lot of the books on my TBR. I think I just need to be more careful about the books I'm specifically picking because I think I picked too much of certain genres last time. So let's just get started. A book with an animal on the cover. I feel like that has to be a fantasy book because you don't typically see animals on the cover of romance books. So I'm gonna look over at these. Give me a sec. Okay, so I was actually hoping I would be able to find a way to put this on my TBR for this month, and this fits it pretty well. So for a book with an animal on the cover, I decided to pick Kingdom of the Wicked by Carrie Maniscalco. I talked about this in my bookshelf tour. I've heard so many mixed opinions on this book. This book is about Amelia, and she finds her sister dead, and then she runs into Wrath, who is one of the princes of hell, and they kind of go on this journey to figure out what happened to her sister. And I've heard that it gets worse as you go on in the series, so I may enjoy this and not like the next two, but we will see, and I am really looking forward to reading this. I also have decided that I'm only going to pick 10 books because that's what I try to read at least a month. A book with a number in the title. I see one, but I don't really want to read it, so I'm gonna try to find another one. Okay, so I could see this being like a technicality, but I'm gonna count it because this is the only really book with a number in the title that I'm interested in reading, and it is Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. This is a dark academia fantasy book where I believe her name is Alex. Yes, Alex gets offered a full ride to Yale, and she just has to keep an eye on the secret societies operating within Yale, and it ends up being super dark with magic and all these kinds of things. I've heard so many wonderful things about this. I don't know if it's a series or a duology, but there's definitely a second book because I have it, and I've been interested in this for a long time, and I would like to get to it. A lot of snakes on the covers of my books so far. Okay, this shouldn't be hard. A book with a person on the cover. There are so many books I could pick for this. I think I am gonna do that. I have decided that it is now finally time, I'm in the mood for it, to read my first Emily Henry book. And I did a poll on my Bookstagram, it's linked in the description, asking you guys which Emily Henry book I should read first. And the landslide winner of that poll was definitely Beach Read. I'm sure I don't even really need to give you guys a description, but this book is about Augustus and January, and they both write books. One writes romance and the other historical fiction, I believe. And I think they're also enemies, but they decide to switch genres and write books in the other person's primary genre as a way of getting out of writer's block, I'm pretty sure. But I'm just really excited to finally read my first Emily Henry book, and I am very much looking forward to this. A book in a series. Okay, so that's definitely, well, it doesn't have to be fantasy, I guess. Actually, yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. One second. Okay, so I have been really looking forward to an upcoming release in April, and in order to read that when it comes out, I need to read the 2 books that come before it in the series. And so with that comes Saving and Redeeming 6 by Chloe Walsh. I adore the Boys of Tommen series. If you watch my channel, you would know that. I did start this book, if you can see like the couple tabs in there, and I'm just very nervous to jump into this world. Basically, I think it might be easier for me to read these on Kindle, just because that's how I read the first two, and I flew through those, and then I just put the annotations in afterwards. So that is probably what I'm going to do here, just because it takes me so much time to put in all of the annotations into these books. So I'm definitely going to be reading these though, so that I can read Taming 7 when it comes out. I also am only going to count that as one book for this video, just because I kind of count them as being one and the same. So we have 4 books right now, 2 romance and 2 fantasy. A book written by a man. That already really narrows my options, because I own barely any books written by men. I feel like this will have to be a thriller, because those are the primary books that I have that are written by men. Okay, so for a book written by a man, I think I'm going to land on the Thursday Murder Club, written by Richard Osman. This book reminds me, at least, very much of Only Murders in the Building. It's just this little mystery club where they get together to discuss unsolved crimes, and then something happens in their own town and they are forced to solve it themselves. And it just reminds me a lot of that. And I recently got back into thrillers and mysteries, so hopefully this will be a good pick for me. A title that starts with the first letter of the month. So that'll be an A. I feel like not a lot of books start with A, but that could be closed-minded of me. Okay, I found one. So this past month I have read 2 YA romance books, because they're just like a good little palate cleanser, just like a nice little sweet romance. You know, it is the perfect just little spring book. And so I'm gonna land on Alex Approximately for this pick. This book is about Bailey and Alex, and Bailey has moved across country to live with her dad to be closer to Alex, who is the guy she has been messaging online, who I'm pretty sure lives in the same town. And all while she's talking with this guy, she is starting to fall for the guy that she is working with, and things get kind of messy. But it sounds really good, and like a very cute little romance that I can get through really quick. And I think there will come a point in this month when I need something like that. A book with an element in the title. I have one in mind already, but I don't really want to pick that. So let's see if I can find another one. Okay. This, I'm not even gonna lie, it's a bit of a technicality, but I'm gonna count it. So it is called A River Enchanted by Rebecca Ross, and it's not explicitly an element, but you know, river, water, and the next title in the duology is A Fire Endless. So I'm gonna count it. And this duology has all to do with elemental spirits, so I feel like it works. My battery's about to die. Anywho, this book is about Jack and Adara, I believe it's pronounced. And Jack has recently been summoned back to this island after being sent away from this island 10 years ago. And he's being called back because these girls are going missing, and Adara believes that he is the only one that can help find what's happening and figure out where it's going on, because he was sent away to become a bard, and a bard's music is the only thing that can draw out elemental spirits so that they can ask for the girls to be returned. And it kind of is giving me enemies to lovers, so I'm really excited and looking forward to this. I'm not sure if this is YA or adult fantasy, but just based on how large the text is in this book, I'm gonna guess that it's YA fantasy. I could be wrong though. This book is also by Rebecca Ross, who is also the author of the Divine Rivals duology, and that book was 5 stars for me. So I am really excited to read this. A book with yellow on the cover. I got it. Okay. The book I chose for this was Carrie Soto is Back by Miss Taylor Jenkins Reid. I have only ever read one other TJR book, and it was Daisy Jones and the Six, and I rated that 5 stars. Absolutely adored it. This book is obviously about Carrie Soto, and she is coming back into the tennis game after I think someone's about to beat her world record. I'm not sure, I could be wrong on why she's coming back, but it sounds like something I would really like. It sounds like the perfect book to read in the springtime, so I really hope I can get to it. A book with food on the cover. I may actually really need to look to find a book with food on the cover. I may have something. Okay, I found something. It is definitely not my usual type of read, but I am very interested in reading this, especially because of who it's written by, and I'll get into that in a second. And it is Someone Who Will Love You in All Your Damaged Glory. This, first of all, that's an egg on the cover. This is the only book I had that had food on the cover, that I noticed at least. But this is a collection of short stories about love, the good, the bad, and the ugly. But this is written by the same person that wrote BoJack Horseman, and that is an adult animated show on Netflix, I'm pretty sure, that is very dark and very depressing, but it really makes you think and analyze your life. And so I think that this will be very, very interesting to read, and something good that I can pick up in between books this month and just read a couple of the short stories at a time instead of reading it all together. So I am very interested in reading this. An author I haven't read yet. Okay, that definitely gives me a lot of options, but I don't know what genre to pick. Let me count and see how many of each I have. 3 fantasy, 3 romance, technically 4 if we're counting Saving and Redeeming 6. And then I have a thriller, a literary fiction book, and the short stories. So I have a very wide variety of genres this month in my TBR. I think I'm going to land on another romance book just because that is my primary genre. It is what I read the most, and I know that if I add another book that's not romance, I'm going to end up reading more romance anyway. I think I will do this one. For the last book of this video and the prompt of an author you haven't read yet, I'm going to be doing Part of Your World by Abby Jimenez. I've heard so many wonderful things about Abby Jimenez. She really got popular last year, I'm pretty sure, but I am very intrigued to read a book by her, especially Yours Truly, and I would have picked that if I could have, but I'm pretty sure that it is an interconnected standalone with Part of Your World, so I have to read this one first. But I'm not too sure about what this book is entirely about, except for the fact that it is about Alexis and Daniel, and Alexis is an ER doctor, I'm pretty sure, and she ends up in his small town, and they end up starting to have a fling, and it becomes a lot more serious, and that's all I really know. But I love the small town romance every time. I honestly can't think of an instance in my head where the small town romance doesn't hit for me. But I am really looking forward to reading this and getting into Abby Jimenez's work. That being said, that is the end of today's video. I sincerely hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, please make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe. All of my social media is linked down below for you guys. Make sure you turn on the post notification bell so you guys can get notified right when I post a new video. I hope you all are having an absolutely wonderful morning, afternoon, or evening wherever you are in the world. And I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!